Hello, everybody. Welcome to the King Leo Show. I'm your host, King Leo. Let's check the audio and... Whoa, 1 second here, man. We have a problem with the title. What's going on here? What's the problem here? All right, I got it. 1 second. Perfect. All right, how is everyone doing today? Welcome to the King Leo Show. Let me check the audio. And if we're good because we have a lot to get through, and I have an exciting announcement for today. Let me see here. 1 second. Perfect. Our audio is great. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome. How is everyone doing today? Welcome to the King Leo Show. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. Welcome, everyone. Let me put this on live chat. Make sure we get all our chats here. How's everyone doing? New video up. I got to do the usual shilling. How's everyone? Join our Patreon. Here, $20 a month. I'm going to add a $5 tier if that's too much. And if not, you can always become a member on YouTube for $1.99 a month. I appreciate any of your guys' support, especially Robert Malloy. Marbert, I shipped out your package today, my friend, who has been one of our greatest contributors. We also have the Discord server here. The link is pinned. Join the Discord server, man. We can crowdsource stories here, all right? And for this, let me see. I'm going to announce the merch now, and I'm going to do it later again, all right? But for this merch, I'm going to have to go to ChatGPT because I have to read a disclaimer, okay? Disclaimer. WWPMD stands for What Would Piers Morgan Do? And it is a parody slogan used for humorous and commentary purposes only. These bracelets are not affiliated with, endorsed by, approved by, or connected to Piers Morgan, his representatives, his media appearances, or any related entity. Any reference to Piers Morgan is satirical and not intended to imply association, sponsorship, or factual statements about him. Product is for entertainment and commentary purposes only. It is a parody product. How is everyone doing? Here's our merch. As you can see, I already have it on. Taking a cue from our evangelicals, who we give them a hard time on this show, I made the What Would Piers Morgan Do bracelet. Check it, dude. Check. I only made 100 of these. I'm going to do it like Red Bull. 100 red ones. We will never make these red ones again. I told you it would be cool. It's not some stupid t-shirt. It's actually cool. You can take it with you. It's a cool thing, okay? I have 100. I'm going to sell like 98. I have to keep 2 for myself because these are great, man. Look, they even have this little thing at the end. It's not a stupid bracelet, all right? It has a little plastic thing. You don't tie it up. It's a good bracelet. Look at it. What would Piers Morgan do on your wrist? That way you know. And it's a secret code, all right? Because if you don't want it to be what would Piers Morgan do, you know, you're a little embarrassed. I don't know why you would be. You could say it's what would a postmodernist do. Look at that. Look at that. This is for our king of the channel, my hero, Piers Morgan. I have it on my wrist. I'm pricing them at $10, but if you buy 2, you get 2 for $15. I think the easiest way of doing this, I could post it on a website and all that, but I don't think that that's very effective. If you PayPal me the $10 or $15 with your address, I'll just ship it out to you. Yeah, but what do you think? Isn't it cool? It's red. I saw red for Christmas, you know, but we're never going to make the red one again. We're never going to make it again, dude. 100 of these. We might do what would PBD do at some point too, okay? But this is great stuff. And you might say, oh, Leo, you're Catholic. How can... I'm not an evangelical. I don't wonder what Jesus would do because he's the Son of God, okay? So there you have it. What would Piers Morgan do? What would the postmodernists do? Either way, how you guys do? How you doing, Mr. Elu? How you doing, Afro? Postmodernist makes more sense, to be honest. Well, that's why it's open to interpretation. For me, it's Piers, because I love Piers. You want one audio vibes? I truly think the easiest way, dude, just PayPal me the $10 or $15 if you want to. If you want more, just, I don't know, message me, email me, and we'll figure out some price. And I'll ship it out to you. Just include your shipping address. That way, we don't get graped by fees and by having to ship it in something stupid. I'm going to ship it in an envelope. That's how I'm keeping the prices low. Most people would come out here and sell you a $40 t-shirt. I'm selling you a $10 bracelet that's actually cool, all right? 100, that's it. We have 100 of these. All right, everyone. Glad people are here. How are you guys doing? We're finally getting to the Piers Morgan summit with PBD today. But we do have Schizo Watch as usual, and it's really good. Mystery Lou says the cancel culture leftist would be mad at Piers Morgan, so I'd say postmodern. All right. We'll call it both. What would a postmodernist do? What would postmodernists do? And what would Piers Morgan do? Either way, isn't that postmodern in itself? Isn't that Baudrillardian? That it can be both? All right. And the pros. Oh, man. I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. So you do what you have to do. We have to. All right. We have a lot to get through. I'll announce them again later in the show when there's more people, because we have a lot to get through, man. There's a lot to get through, and we have to watch this amazing summit. So let's start with Schizo Watch. Let me make sure that we start with something good. Let's start with this. This is pretty funny. All right, let's start with this. Let's get our music. All right, so here we have Representative Nancy Mace, who we make a lot of fun of her on this channel, okay? Heading back to D.C. to reopen the government. Thought I should fly myself this time. And she posted this AI slop of herself. You know, people were stuck in airports for hours, dude. People had their flights canceled. I had friends whose flights were canceled, man. I had a friend miss his mother's surgery, her knee surgery, because of this bullshit. And this is what Nancy Mace is doing. Making AI slop to make fun of you. These people take private jets. Look, if you are a Republican or a Democrat, dude, you've lost your mind. These people don't care about you. These people are pure evil. I mean, can you imagine how outside of your brain do you have to be to produce this? She should really just join OnlyFans. It would be more dignified than being a fake congresswoman here. All right, this is the end of the line, because look, I like a good joke. I'm a good sport. People probably died because of this government shutdown. I saw some people online saying, "Haven't you noticed that things have not changed much?" Yeah, I actually did. I tried to go to the park, and guess what? It was full of garbage because National Park Service isn't there because they've cut jobs through Doge, and they were closed because of the shutdown. And this is what Nancy Mace is doing right now. Hang on, guys. I'm getting another one of these bracelets on my other wrist. So much ice, dude. Look at that, dude. What would Piers Morgan do? What would a postmodernist do? Look at these bracelets, dude. Evangelicals seething. Look at this is great merch, bro. Come on. It's good merch. Just disgusting. Mystery Lou says, did you see Michael Eric Dyson slipping into Nancy Mace's DMs? I did not. I am not a Michael Eric Dyson fan myself. I don't like how he speaks. But it's not surprising, dude, because she's a good-looking lady. If you're into that. I thought Michael Eric Dyson was with the Chocolate Queens. But I guess not. How you doing, Aria? Check out the merch, Aria. It came in. All right, let's continue. We'll get to that. We'll get to this. Here, this one's great here. Dude, like, I love how people are just calling out Democrats for being retards, man. Democrats are the most useless people on the planet. Or conservatives are pretty useless, but Democrats right now, look at this. Because the Epstein thing is in the news again. Epstein, everyone's hot for Epstein. Epstein bombshell. Newly released emails show Jeffrey Epstein told Ghislaine Maxwell that Donald Trump, quote, spent hours at my house, end quote, knew about the girls, end quote, and that, quote, dog hasn't barked is Trump, end quote. Pretty damning. Pretty damning, right? It's pretty damning. All right. It's damning. Okay. What would you do if you were a political party that actually wanted to stop Trump? You would seize on this, right? What did a famed Chinese spy trim enjoyer Representative Eric Swalwell tweet? If Trump had sex with underage girls, should he still be our president? Cue the X-Files music. Hang on, let me cue that. And the X-Files music, because that's a great one. That's a great tweet. Oh, yeah, you're really owning them with that, right? Let's play it. Da-da-da-da. Let's do it at the same time. This is insane, dude. Like, if you still believe in Democrats, look at this. If Trump had sex with an underage girl, should he still be the president? Wow, Eric, this is great shit. And what did people reply? I love this one. You're a fucking idiot, dog. I'm sorry you guys are not right in the head with this gif. And this guy's a Democrat. I went through his account. Hood genius. If you're still a Democrat, dude, if you are still a Democrat, I don't know what to tell you. You are cattle at that point, man. You're cattle. These people are retarded. If Trump had sex with an underage girl, should he still be our president? You're the congressman. You're in charge. You're the one who's supposed to decide that. This is your elected representatives, folks. You're funding all of his lifestyle, his whole lifestyle. Let's catch up with a chance. It's just ridiculous. Thank you, Aria. I'm glad you like the merch. $10. Not a ripoff. 15 for 2. We only have 100. That's it. After 100, we're never making the red edition again. APAC Swalwell. Great nickname, says Mr. Elu. Democrats are cucked. Democrats are cucked, dude. Democrats, I'm still going with my theory. I think they want everything that Donald Trump is doing. There's no way. This is like pure fake opposition. There's no way this is real. Let's continue. Let's take a little break here. I really think that boomers are falling for this AI stuff, dude. Like, it fascinates me anthropologically how the boomer falls for this. Like, this is clearly bullshit. Let's watch this. They're making these like compilations, top 5 court Q sentencing rankings. Let's watch what boomers are watching.
Based on your crimes, this court sentences you to 208 years in state prison. Any final statements?
208 years? I'm innocent! You just love scapegoating!
Ma'am, sit. Control.
First manager hypocritical order!
I saw through this whole charade. Easy.
Based on your crimes, this court sentences you to 208 years in state prison. Any final statements?
208 years? I'm innocent! You just love scapegoating! Control! First manager hypocritical order! I saw through this whole charade!
Calm down!
Based on your crimes, this...
You have to have worms in your brains to think this is even real. Even if you accept it's AI, what is funny about this? What is funny? What's funny to me is that people think this is real.
Court sentences you to 208 years in state prison. Any final statements?
208 years? I'm innocent! You just love scapegoating! Control! First manager hypocritical order! I saw through this whole charade!
Based on your acts of violence.
I think we can stop there, dude. And look, like people are taking this seriously. They're taking this seriously. Look, sometimes I laugh at the Greco-Roman law. Man's life is about 70 years and you're giving them 208 years. That's nonsense. Get rid of such monsters instead of wasting taxpayer money.
Oh, I get it. You're retarded.
Cattle. Bro, like straight cattle. You start to understand Peter Thiel when you read stuff like this. You go, yeah, these people should not have a vote. They should not even exist, to be honest. I'll go Margaret Sanger on their ass. What are we doing here? This is just stupid. It's just stupid. Let's catch up on the chats. Apak Shakur for Kaim Jeffries. That's a good one, mystery. Democrats are cucked, controlled opposition. I think it's worse than controlled opposition, man. I think that it's somewhat organic. I really do. I'm not sure that these people, they have to be in on it. They have to be in on this grift. Let's pull up their crypto wallets and see. There's no way. There's no way. Effer says, in post-moderate Soviet America, aliens watch you. In postmodern Soviet America, aliens watch you. No, but America might be a cruel reality show to the aliens, maybe. It's possible. I mean, someone has to be enjoying this torture, Effer. I do agree. We're enjoying it, but we're also in it, so you can't enjoy it all the way unless you really drop out. I'm sure junkies, no, they're not even thinking about this. They're not thinking about this. So yeah, I mean, someone has to be. I hope someone's enjoying our mental decline. I really do hope. I really do hope. Arya says, on one hand, we have boomers who believe everything. On the other hand, we have kids who believe nothing. My daughter thinks everything is AI. She thinks everyone in chat is trolling or a bot. That's good. Arya, I think that is more positive than falling for this stuff. When nothing is real, that's better for you. It's a better cope. Mr. Elu says, that internet theory, dude, it's not a theory anymore. Don't believe so. Let's move on here. Okay, this is a great one that I found.
You're stating that
this is just a great encapsulation of what has happened to the mental state of this country. This country has lost its mind, man. I don't care if the person serving me food is trans or homosexual or super straight, or I don't even care if they're like a Nazi or they're serving me food. I don't care. But now everything, dude, it's like we live in gay Maoism or something. Everything has become a struggle session, including your trip to Burger King, where customers, and I'll put some blame on the employee too, think that this is the time to debate politics. I don't care. Put the fries in the bag, man. Put the fries. Let's watch. Let's watch what our great country, what the country of Harvard, the country of Yale, of the SEC, of Dave Portnoy, of PBD is doing. Let's see what this country is doing, man. It's just, I can't stand it, dude. You can't even go get a sandwich these days.
What is your name? What is your name, sir?
My name is Lily.
Okay, and you're stating that you called me sir, correct?
Actually, you called me young man, and I politely corrected you multiple times.
You don't get to correct me. I will address you as what I see. I have no obligation whatever to enter. Yes, you do, sir. Unless, of course, Burger King, unless Burger King has a policy to behave this way to their clients. Maybe they do. We will find that out.
The owners, but we have no video
Good.
recording, so I'll be more than happy to help you, but you can't record us.
Oh, I'm a First Amendment lawyer, and
This is another thing, dude. All of these cop shows, these legal dramas have destroyed people's minds. I know how filming works because I've done it my whole life. If you're on private property, I don't know what First Amendment lawyer is going to tell you you're allowed to film. You're not. You are at their disposal. They can revoke that right at any time on private property. Everyone is Atticus Finch. Everyone is Gregory Peck. Everyone's a lawyer. Everyone's Charlie Kirk. Everyone's debating all the time. Who cares if it's a trans person, if it's a fucking phalangist, if it's a Francoist, if it's... You're buying a burger. Why would you waste your time doing this?
I can definitely record you, absolutely. I want to file a formal complaint. I have been a patron of, I've been a patron of Burger King for many, many years. And I came here, I always received nothing but excellent service. But I came here today, I had a coupon and I ordered what I ordered. And one of the things was accidentally left out, not a problem. Okay. I came back around to get it. And I thanked the young man who waited on me, and I said to him, "Thank you, young man." When I did so, when I came back the second time, he became very angry, and he said, "I'm not a young man." Okay? I said, "Sir, I call you what I see." He said, "Well, in that case, thank you, sir," and shut the window. Now, I am clearly a woman, and I have no obligation, as you know, ma'am, to call him whatever he thinks he's supposed to be called. And I cannot imagine that Burger King has a policy that when their customers have this sort of an interaction and they're supposed to be responded to angrily and on purpose called sir and yelled at because he did. Well, I did that to you because you called me the wrong sex. Is that Burger King's policy to treat their...
I will have a conversation with Miss Lily, who was the young lady that was in the drive-thru.
She is not a young lady. You're free to think. You're free to think she is, and I'm free not to.
And I will address her because we do not condone being rude to our guests. So you're right. So that was inappropriate. Her retaliation because she was upset was inappropriate, and I will address that, okay?
Thank you. I'm glad to know that your policy is not to insult your client.
All right. Look, I'm going to be completely real here. Look, we live in hell. Let's play the clip. We live in hell. We live in hell.
We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
We live in hell. All right. It's fine. It's fine. Look, for a moment, let's entertain this. Let's entertain this. Communication is impossible in hell. We know this. We all know this. All right. Communication is literally impossible. Don't even try. It's impossible. I tell you something's green. I don't know if your green is the same as my green. So let's entertain this, despite your they're both right. Okay, they're both right. The only way to solve this is to bring back duels. And I mean like Barry Lyndon duels. All right? 10 paces, turn around, let it rip with a Glock. That is preferable to debate. That is preferable to a manager that makes $20 an hour at most having to deal with your bullshit. We need to have duels. That's the only way of solving this issue. We need duels. I worked at Burger King in high school. If someone did this to me, I would have clocked out immediately. I am done. I'm not getting paid. I was making $8.10 an hour. I sound like a boomer. I was making $8.10. When we got bumped up to $8.15, it was hallelujah. If someone did this to me, I'm either quitting or, dude, we're taking it outside and we're going to duel. We're going to duel. We're going to be men. Even if you're a lady, we're going to be men for a moment. We are going to go outside. We're going to take 10 paces and we are going to shoot at each other. And whoever's left standing was actually right. That's the only solution, because otherwise we have to deal with Charlie Kirk, rest in peace, tier tactics of debating. And this is just hell. It's just hell. It's hell. Bring back the duels. You know what? Aaron Burr was right. You know why? Because he killed the other guy. And he wins. That's the end of it. You can make your little historical fiction, Lin-Manuel Miranda. But Aaron Burr is the winner in my book. That's the truth. We need to bring back the duels. We have the technology. Let's catch up with the chats, dude. Oh, my God. Arya says the owner should have been tougher. Arya, I'm telling you, people do not get paid enough for this, Arya. If I were the owner, I wouldn't even address this. I'd be, okay, what do you want? I used to do this when I worked at Burger King. We gave away so much free food because we didn't want to deal with people's bullshit. I'm not debating gender theory with a customer. That would not, you have to pay me commensurate to be a professor to do that. But I get what you mean, Ari. Let other people be. That's my perspective. If it's a financial transaction, it's a financial transaction. They don't get paid enough to deal with people like this as Audio Vibes. Yes. Yes. Mystery Lou says Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr duels. Tyler Robinson was dueling Charlie Kirk from afar. That's a good one. Oh my God. And Aria says duels, good idea, because so many people would shut up. Exactly. If it went from 0 to a duel, there would be no debate because people would back up. They'd say, is it really worth it? It's not worth it. All right, let's move on. We live in hell. Here we have perfect. Look, if you signed up for the military, man, I'm glad you get to see this.
This is men's fragrance. Yeah. This is what. No. It's the best fragrance. Come here, man.
I have more here, sir.
Okay. So what we'll do is just take that, Joe, put it in, and then the other one is for your wife. How many ones? You guys, I never know, right? I never know.
أنا أرسلت له هدايا فيها شيء أثري قديم أول أبجدية صارت في التاريخ، أول ختم أيضا صار في التاريخ، أول نوتة.
The President of the United States is giving a head shopper cologne samples. The White House is Macy's. You signed up for the military to fight these guys. You're disabled because of this. And the president is chilling with them. They're sharing notes. I'll share some notes. I'll share some notes with the head chopper. What the hell? I'll share some notes with the head chopper. I like Spice Bomb. That's a good one. I like Molecule 2. That's a good one, and it's also good for people with sensitivities. Aqua de Gio, legendary scent. Tom Ford, any Tom Ford scent is the best. Maybe he can bring me some oud. You signed up for the military just for this to happen 20 years later? Fell for it again award, dude. No one told you to join. Fell for the psyop. Arya says, this is the owner, not the manager. She should have just said, get out and done. Right, Arya, but then I'm sure it would have been some annoying thing from corporate, because Burger King corporate's here in Miami. So I actually went to their corporate building. They used to have a museum there. And I'm sure they would have been annoying, and then they would have had to take away the franchise from the person. It's hell. If you own a franchise, it's hell. It's always hell. It's always hell. Mr. Elu says, gay Trump. Yeah, this is pretty gay. I agree. Let's continue. What else we got? Oh, I think this is good. This is good to watch because this is what boomer conservatives watch on TV. This is called Landman. I have not watched the show. I've seen another scene from it on Twitter. And this kind of slop is a good insight into the conservative mind because as I always point out, the conservative mind is something so sick. We saw it yesterday with the Ogle anti-Mamdani propaganda. It's so sick. It's things that you wouldn't even think to write, but they love it. Let's watch what are the boomer conservatives watching?
You can't do that, Daddy. The age of consent in Texas is 17, so grounding me violates my constitutional rights.
Listen, fathers and daughters need to live by a code. So you tell me you're a virgin till the day you die. And if you ever have kids, tell me you're artificially inseminated. And if you can do that for me, I'll pay for college, your little BMW and the apartment and all that shit. But please give me the illusion.
You want me to lie?
With your whole heart.
Well, you should have said that from the beginning.
The way, your mom has a GPS tracker on your phone.
Oh, no. I should have moved around more. But Daddy, he's so fucking hot.
No. That's the truth.
He was reading Bible stories and I just got lost in it.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Good girl.
I love you, Daddy.
So look at this. Think about this. There's multiple layers of analysis, dude. There's so much analysis we could do here. This would be a whole semester in media studies, okay? What does this reveal about the conservative? This reveals that the conservative wants to be lied to. He wants to get away from the truth. He wants to believe that his daughter is a virgin even after her vagina has been destroyed by 10 children. That's what the conservative wants to believe. They don't want to see stretch marks. They don't want to see C-section scars. They don't want to see any of that. They want to be lied to by their young, beautiful daughter, who in this case, it probably is some sort of allegory for America. They want America to have this fiction, this fictional world where nothing real happens, nothing actually real, where you are constantly deluded by everyone around you so you can live in your little perfect brain. And if that's the case, then conservatives should be begging for heroin and VR goggles. Because that's the solution that I see here. If we get them all on heroin and VR goggles and we give them I'm dating myself here. You give them a Viewmaster. I don't know if the kids know what that is. A Viewmaster of 1950s America. And the whole world is falling apart outside. It's all falling apart. That's all conservatives want. That's all they want. Which is actually, when you actually realize this, if you're smart, you can use this politically to win. All you have to do is create a simulacrum. We're already in one, but another one. so that conservatives feel good. Isn't that crazy? Facts don't care about your feelings. I guess Ben Shapiro was wrong. Conservatives are all feeling little snowflakes. Very cool. Efra says, WTF am I watching? Yeah, and people, this has a big audience base, man. This has a lot of people watching it. Same as Yellowstone. It was the same crap. It's just like Taylor Sheridan, I think is his name, writing this stuff. It's wild. Efra says, I will accept the VR goggles at this point. Nothing makes sense. I was where you were at in 2020, Efra. But at this point, I'm Colonel Kurtz. I am Colonel Kurtz. Well, how is it that Kanye says it? Kanye says, I am Marlon Brando. I am Colonel Kurtz. I am Joseph Conrad. I want to witness. I need to witness the horror. The horror. All right. Well, I want to make sure we get on time. So let's watch this one here. This one's pretty funny because we see here that the left is actually starting to meme pretty funnily. They're taking the Nazi symbols, which is the black sun, and applying them to the left. So here we see Zoran with this. Let's watch. I think that it's healthy to see that. I think it's healthy. All of these black flag memes, look, they're even doing these. Hyperborean Zoran. This is a good way of diffusing tension. It's a good way of doing it. It's funny. It's hammer and sickles, as Mr. Elu's saying. I'm sure Stalin would approve of this. Although Zoran is clearly not Stalin. But it's not bad. I actually enjoy the meme. They're saying that this is Drew Pablo saying that the right wing has colonized the minds of the left. But I think this is actually a victory for the left, man. When you are able to meme just by ripping people off and making it your own, that great artists steal. Great artists steal. Let's continue. All right. Here we have to get to one of our first main stories. Dinesh D'Souza, renowned conservative director, has released a defense of the Gen X conservative. What? Let's watch a little bit of what he had to say.
It is simply false. In fact, it's an absolute slander to say that the Reagan generation achieved nothing. For people who don't know any history, that's an easy thing to say. You achieved nothing. It's like saying to the generation that won World War II, you achieved nothing. I wasn't born during World War II, so whatever you achieved is unimportant to me. Well, that generation achieved a lot. They overcame the Depression. They won a big war.
As always, Gen Xers have to, like boomers. I think Dinesh is a boomer. Boomers have to defend the greatest generation. No one has asked him to defend the greatest generation. It's very hard to find a fault with them. So why is he wasting time on this? Well, let's see why.
And I can say on behalf of the Reagan generation, as somebody who lived through it, participated in it, wrote about it, that the Reagan generation achieved a lot. So I'm going to talk about a few of those things just to kind of wipe the arrogant smile off the face of people like this Gabe Gardini and others like him. I'm obviously using him here as a kind of emblem or to typify a smug attitude that we sometimes get from young people. Now, let me go through my own tweet here responding to him. We, the Reagan generation, won the Cold War. Let's start with that.
Whoa. All right, let's say that this was a good thing, winning the Cold War. I'm willing to hear that out. Ronald Reagan won the Cold War. Ronald Reagan wasn't even a boomer. Ronald Reagan was born. Let's check here. Let's check when Ronald Reagan was born. Let's check when the crack dealer president was born. 1911. He was born in 1911. All right, Dinesh? You voted for him? So voting is what made you great. Vote. Oh, get Dinesh and I voted sticker. Oh, you got off your ass and voted? Oh my God. Voting, the ultimate good. I forgot that the whole point of everything is voting. The guy who won the Cold War, in his mind, was born in 1911. Okay, so you didn't win the Cold War. The Cold War had been going on before 1989 since 1946. You did not win the Cold War. You did not win it. Arya says Reagan generation were the worst. I do agree. These are the yuppies. These are the hippies turned yuppies. Mystery Lou says, I thought George H.W. was a crack dealer president. They were both in on it. But I actually do defend Bush the father for other reasons. Reagan, I think, is an irredeemable president. I don't understand why they still fetishize him. But H.W., I actually have a schizo theory that my producer introduced me to of why George Bush was actually a pretty good president. And it's an interesting theory. I might make a video on it one of these days.
The Cold War was lasted for 40 years, from the mid-40s. The preceding generation, which was really the boomers, couldn't win it. It was won by the Reagan generation, and no one saw.
And this is stolen valor right here. This is stolen valor. The boomers, I'm sorry, they didn't win the Cold War. The boomers did Operation Condor. The boomers fought in Vietnam. The boomers fought in Korea. I'm not saying that these are good things. The boomers cooed Guatemala in 54. The boomers and the greatest gen. So this is stolen valor, dude. What did the Reagan generation do? They waited for the Soviet Union to collapse under the weight of Donald Gorbachev. That's what they did. The people who did the Mujahideen were not the Reagan generation. The Reagan generation may have given them some money and weapons. And where did that get us, Dinesh? Where did that get us? Let's continue.
Coming, and no one thought it would even occur in our lifetime. So this was a very big win, made all the more spectacular by the fact that it was won without loss of life, as Margaret Thatcher put it, without firing a shot. Number two, we conserved America's number one position in the world. America was number one when our generation came in, but it wasn't decisively number one. We actually made it number one. In the Cold War, America and the Soviet Union were running side by side. Certainly in terms of military force, many people thought they were number one and we were number two. But we got an America post-Reagan that was number one, and it still is. And the Reagan generation did that.
Oh, perfect. So the Reagan generation seeded the ground for the Iraq War? That's what you're saying. This is so pathetic to hear. This is so pathetic. So pathetic.
We preserve free markets. We're seeing a lot of socialist upsurges now. We actually made it so that socialism was completely discredited in our generation and during our era. It is only rearing its head now, again, for reasons that we can explore. But we did not allow this to happen in the 80s or the 90s. Even Obama was very much carried by a tide that he couldn't fully.
I'm sorry, dude. The Reagan generation was in charge when the pink tide happened in Latin America. That's your hemisphere in conservative terms. That's your backyard, right? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You didn't take down Cuba. You didn't take down North Korea. In their mind, I assume they think that Iran is a communist country too. You allowed the rise of Hugo Chavez. You allowed the rise of Lula. You allowed the rise of Michelle Bachelet. This retcon history is what blows my mind about conservatives. How can you have gone through life being this stupid? It's truly something to admire, like how their perseverance in stupidity.
Resist, and when he tried to resist it, there were sweeping victories against him by Republicans in the midterm elections that kept him completely in check. Who, if not the Reagan generation, toppled Roe versus Wade? Roe versus Wade had lasted from 1973 for almost 40 years. It was the Reagan generation, its personnel, its appointees, its transformation of the courts. We got rid of that one.
Joe Biden's court got rid of. It's just stolen valor. It was Joe Biden's court that ended Roe versus Wade. Whether you agree or disagree, it was Joe Biden. He gets to take credit for it. It happened under his watch. It's pathetic.
A really big one. Think about the loss of life under Roe versus Wade. And look, I'm not saying that the abortion problem as a cultural phenomenon has been solved, but this case that established a right to abortion in every state pretty much for all 9 months of pregnancy, that's a way that we conserved life by defeating that.
It's all right. Thank you, Dinesh D'Souza, for your defense of the Reagan generation. Bravo. You know what the Reagan generation achieved? No-fault divorce for conservatives. That's a big one. Grenada. What else did Reagan achieve? The war on drugs, the destruction of any semblance of law and order. What else did they do? What else did they do? Oh, and 9/11. Thank you for 9/11, Reagan generation. Great stuff. We got more. Let's catch up with the chats. It's just insane. Insane. Efra says, essentially, reality is fracturing into many realities. It's like everyone is the right and left, and they're saying we are the real conservatives or we are the real liberals. I agree, Efra. I think that it's really funny to see, this one's always existed, but like the word rhino, Republican in name only, or gyno, I've seen people saying that, Jewish in name only, which means that you are trying to cling to a false identity. Because when you start trying to exclude people who self-identify with the term, you have lost the conversation. So that's an interesting one, Efra. I completely agree. That's where we're at. Arya says, right now, Trump is taking away any Cold War win. That's true, too. The world is fracturing now under Trump. The America number one is not the case anymore. Efra says, I will remain an anthropologist and not take sides. The smartest choice. Mr. Elu says, George H.W. did call trickle-down economics voodoo economics. He did some good stuff, man. H.W., this was my producer, his Arab teacher taught him this, that the Rwandan genocide may not have happened if George H.W. had been president. And I'm inclined to believe him. He makes a really interesting argument. He's an interesting president, dude. I think he was like America's Putin in some ways. And we have Kurosawa attack. Interesting. Yeah, the true Scotsman fallacy. Absolutely. And Reagan denied AIDS and supported Saddam Hussein. Absolutely, Arya. All right, let's move on to our other story here. We have Tim Pool, because there's been this whole war here, man. There's this war going on. This young lass here, this young kid, who speaks for a lot of people, let's watch what he had to say. Let's watch what he had to say about the state of our economic system.
What the fuck is the point of living in America, being a student in America, if I can't fucking live? I woke up today, I have $17 in my bank account. My rent's paid, I'm good for a month. Don't know what I'm gonna do next month. Wasn't able to work last week, so yeah. And I've been bleeding money since I got financial aid. And now I got $17 in my bank account. And you're like, what do you do, right? Full-time student, works full-time. Get a better job? Is that the solution? No, it's not the fucking solution. I shouldn't have to fucking work every goddamn day to bleed fucking money. I'm a fucking student who lives in the richest fucking country on earth. My goddamn taxes should be fucking taking care of me, not bombing people in the Middle East. But no, people in America are fucking starving, and our stupid fucking president is building a goddamn ballroom with money he put in his own fucking pockets. He settled a lawsuit with himself with our fucking money, our fucking taxes. I'm not the only one who's going through this shit. If you weren't born rich, you're pretty much fucked. Even if you were born middle class, you're still kind of fucked, because FAFSA can't give you more money, and if your family is struggling, and if you're like me, which you're not the first kid to go to college, you're fucked! richest country in the world my fucking ass. Fuck Donald Trump.
Okay. This is a young man waking up to the reality that we know on this channel.
We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
Now look, I would give some advice here. This is not financial advice. This should not be taken. I would simply max out my student loans all the way. And then max out credit cards years later to pay them off. And then declare bankruptcy. You don't have to be this stressed. You don't have to be this stressed. Okay? That's my opinion. It's not financial advice. I get where the kid's coming from. I get it. It's a tough situation. And this was posted by this page. Let me show it to you here. That I went through afterwards because the comments are just horrific here. It's just a bunch of people saying, now the other people have come in. I worked when I was a full-time student. And yes, it sucked balls. But then I graduated and things got better. But it's the last part that worries me. Dude, it's hard to find. Like, this was full of boomers. I worked 2 full-time jobs in college. What's his point? Brings back memories of college in the early and mid-'80s. Worked multiple jobs. Bought 20-cent ramen by the case. Split the homemade sandwiches and ramen noodles, baby. Girlfriends will feed you too. Hustle. Life's tough. Wear a helmet. Wait till he gets in the real world. He'll be crying. So it's just boomer performative sadism, okay? And if you go to this page, it's called I Meme Therefore I Am. And they have Descartes in a MAGA hat. Let's make this big. This is a Polish woman who spends all of her time shitting on like people that are struggling, people that are not doing well, and posting just stuff that it's just racist. It's racialized. It's not, dude. Oh, look at how crazy the left is. Oh, look at the tattoos. Oh my God.
Maybe I'm just stupid. I did learn embarrassingly late that I was putting them in.
All the followers are boomers, dude.
A question for the audiences that are watching. So, I'm 21. I'm not being kicked out.
A 21-year-old man. Oh, you really showed him. Her. It says he's being forced out of his grandparents' home, where he's been living rent-free. He already works 50 to 60 hours a week and claims his body can't physically handle keeping up with that workload, which he'll need to continue. Every boomer comment on here, dude, is telling this young man, let's put him here again, to drop out of college and learn a trade because there's better money in trades than in school. The boomers are the first generation I've seen in my life who are actually shilling downward class mobility to their children. I'm not judging electricians. I have no problem with that. But if your father was a lawyer, you should be a lawyer or better. If your father was an electrician, his aspirations in the past were for you to become a lawyer or a doctor. Why else do you work your ass off if not for your kid to have a better life? And this you can't even get mad at the boomers anymore, dude. You can't get mad at them for saying this kind of stuff. They live in a whole other world. This is the reality a lot of people are in, man. It's hell. I understand it's hell. It's bad. And it astounded me to see Tim Pool, of all people, who's not a boomer, video evidence that college makes people retarded. Dude has a meltdown because he has to work. I agree on not wasting money on bombing the Middle East, but since the dawn of humanity, you had to work to eat. Thank you, Tim Pool. Tim Pool hates young people. That's what he's saying there. Tim Pool hates young people. Tim Pool lives off of a news aggregating live stream. That's his money. Tim Pool is I looked it up. I asked ChatGPT. And I asked it to not consider the official CPI rate because it's bullshit. And I asked it, Are the young people in America the poorest generation of young people in history? And if you go by the old CPI, they are the poorest generation since World War II. And Tim Pool is going to sit here and tell young people this? Hey, Tim Pool, why don't you go retire in Boca or something? If you're going to pull a full boomer here, man. People are struggling. And the conservatives, dude, this is why I said it in today's video, the new video about Ben Shapiro. Let a million Mamdamis bloom. I don't care if he delivers or not. These people, they only learn when you hurt them. This is sick, a sick mentality. We have boomers on this channel, dude, that are good people. Robert's one of them. I don't know if anyone here's a boomer that's here right now. Boomers are not all bad people. But telling people, gaslighting young people, telling them that things are going to get better. Instead of, dude, if you were born, when I was born, I have seen the Twin Towers collapse. In retrospect, I don't remember it live. I saw a pope say, I'm out, I can't do this anymore, which was a huge sign. I saw a financial crisis destroy half of this country. I saw January 6th. I saw 2 wars. 3 wars, I'm sorry, 3 official wars. And this is the reality? That you're going to tell people it gets better? Everything has gotten worse. Name one thing that's gotten better. Oh, the iPhone's here and it's faster. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. That was Steve Jobs. That's stolen valor. That was one guy. It's just sick to see Tim Pool like this, man. What a disgusting guy, man. I'm amazed. I'm amazed to see this. No empathy. All they want you to do if you're a young person is to drop out of school because it makes you retarded, as Tim Pool says, and go blow your knees out, blow your lower back out, learning how to weld. Have any of these people met a welder? I've met welders. I hang out with a lot of people. Dude, I like tradespeople. I like them. They tell good stories. You talk to them about their physical ailments, it's a disaster. Some of these guys can't run in their 30s. And that's your solution? Also, if you're a student, should you not be focused on school? I mean, what are we doing here? You have to work now as a student? I had to work as a student, sure. One job. I can't imagine it today. Oh, it's Instagram and you want to travel everywhere and you want... Yeah, they're young. You're the guys who did acid and went to Woodstock. Who are you to shit on people? And this gets worse, dude, because I've seen a lot more people pointing this out, that Gen X is now participating in the boomerism. This is the best summary I've seen of it. Let's see what Gen X has to say.
Boomers and Gen X love that quote that's like, weak men create hard times. But if we're living in the hard times now, then didn't you create them? Like the quote goes, strong men create good times create weak men create hard times create great men. And the thing they fail to realize is they came after the greatest generation on earth, the World War II generation. So the greatest generation created the good times created the weak men, which is you, the boomers and Gen X. Boomers and Gen X.
I think it's a huge sign, man, that that New York City did not have a Gen X mayor, that they skipped straight to millennial. Gen X gets off easy a lot of the times. Gen X did nothing to make this world better, man. Some cool movies, okay? Some cool movies. But what did they make? What did Peter Thiel make? What did Mark Andreessen make? They made a LinkedIn, Palantir, PayPal. What else did they make that made the world better? What else did they make? And all they did was sit there smugly and laugh at millennials and Zoomers and Alpha. They're making fun of Alpha now too. It's sick. It's sick. Let's catch up with the chats. I'm going to make a Gen X video. I'm going to get my fucking ass eaten on YouTube because Gen X loves to be like, oh, Gen X is great. We live in hell. We live in the gutter. Absolutely, Mr. Elo. Yeah, Efra says, too much stick and no carrot does not make sense at all. This is not sustainable. Absolutely. It's all stick and no carrot. What are kids supposed to do now, dude? The drinks are $25. You know, the only thing that has gotten cheaper is drugs or stayed the same in price. That's the only thing. Is that what people are supposed to do now? Just become junkies? I guess so. How you doing, Schofield? Back when rent was $150 and tuition was $500 a semester. Yep. But no, that doesn't matter because the CPI CPI is completely fake, dude. If you don't know that the CPI is fake at this point, then you deserve to be destroyed. It's just crazy. Arya says, I made okay money working in nice restaurants and a club as a server, but you never move up. Right, because these traditional jobs that used to do stuff, it doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Let's see here. Mr. Elu says, my dad is a boomer. Dude, I mean, we all have boomer parents, and you don't argue with them, by the way. It's a waste of time. Arya says, my parents are boomers. My dad thinks everything's falling apart and says people are on their phones and don't even know how to get somewhere without asking their phone. My parents voted Mamdani. Very cool, Arya. You've mentioned before you have hippie parents, which is pretty cool. A lot of the boomers that are cool either dropped out of society or found like some niche, and they're cool, you know? Oh, he got drafted to Vietnam. Yeah. Yeah, that's a real boomer. That's like a guy who actually believed in his country. Mr. Elu says, Gen X are more reactionary than boomers. I agree. Schofield says, Gen X are boomers with fanny packs. Yeah, I mean, look at Curtis Yarvin, right? Malcolm X would be a boomer. I don't think so, Ari. I think, let's see, what year was Malcolm X born? Let's check. Malcolm X. He was born in 25. He's greatest gen. No. A boomer wouldn't be like that. And that war made no sense? Yeah, absolutely not. They made banking online. Yeah. Do fat as a manager at McDonald's. The best solution. Absolutely. And Mr. Elu says, I can't run in my 30s and I weld at work. Dude, yeah, go into the trades, right? Yeah, go into the trades. What a great idea. Just blow your knees out, blow your back out, destroy your life by going into the trades. I don't recommend it. All right, and you know what? Before we get into the main story, let's actually look here. Here we can see, this is some real boomer posting here. Let me make this big. You want a house? Cool. When are you going to give up your $1,500 smartphone that you buy the new version of every year or so? I don't know anyone who upgrades their phone every year. When are you canceling all your subscription services? Right, okay. When are you giving up Uber and Uber Eats? Well, you can't give up Uber because taxis don't exist anymore because of Gen X. When are you going to stop buying $7, quote, coffee, end quote, every morning? Sometimes twice a day or more. Well, you know that instant coffee is at an all-time high in popularity, right? When are you going to do without a week-long or longer vacation at least once a year to some exotic locale, right? A vacation to Denver is an exotic locale. When are you going to sell your brand new car, buy a beater, and drive it until the wheels fall off instead of trading in every 3 to 5 years, right? When are you going to stop going clubbing every weekend, right? When are you going to let go of your $100 a week or more booze and weed habit, right? The generations that have famously given up alcohol. When are you going to quit eating out almost exclusively? You're not, you don't really want a house. And this is the reply.
Boomer alert, 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 boomer alert.
All right.
We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
The gutter, gentlemen and ladies. The gutter. The gutter. It's crazy. It's crazy. So in order to achieve the bare minimum that these people got, you have to give up all of the modern amenities that were... Netflix was sold as cheap, and it was better than cable. It was supposed to make things better and cheaper. The value proposition did not pay off. So who are these people? Who are these people? I'm surprised they didn't drop an avocado toast in there. Let's catch up with the chats, man. Mr. Elu says, I steal all my subscription services. I walk everywhere. No vacations, no car. Hey, you don't want to buy a house, Mr. Elu. You don't, because you should be not drinking coffee. How about that? Straight edge. I hate everything. How you doing, man? How's New York? Who needs streaming services when you can ride the 7 seas? I absolutely agree. Can't endorse, but I agree. Effer says, this list is severely outdated. It would be good if they had this type of economy back. That's not the realities. Boomers are living in 2010. They're living in 2017 when the economy was like awesome. And dude, when your savings are taking you nowhere, I'm not going to tell you to not pick up the $7 coffee. I'm not going to tell you to do that. Enjoy yourself. Can't take it with you. All right. We're finally going to get to what we've been waiting for, man. We started it yesterday. The GOAT meeting, PBD and Piers Morgan. I left an hour, so we're going to watch a lot. Before we do, I got to plug the merch again. The What Would Piers Morgan or What Would a Postmodernist Do? What Would Jesus Do? Parody bracelets are in. As you can see, very well done. They are $10. I'm not ripping you off with a $40 shirt that you won't wear outside. You can wear this. It's discreet. $10, $15 for two. Easiest way of getting it that I've seen. Maybe someone has a suggestion. If you PayPal me the 10 or $15 or email me, it's on my YouTube. You can get them. All right? Just send me your shipping address. All right? Just email me. It's in YouTube. And that way you can walk around like this. What would Piers Morgan do? You will never, ever make a mistake because you have the master's brain. Let's get to this. We've been teasing this for a while. We have to watch our goats meet.
Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm supposed I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright. My handshake is better than anything I ever saw. It's right here. You are a one of one?
My son's right about it.
I don't think I've ever said this before.
His intro is like perfect cringe. Perfect cringe. It's so good. It's not Piers Morgan uncensored, but it's pretty good.
We're finally doing this.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, it's normally through the Zoom and you're out there doing your thing, but it's great to sit down together.
Thank you for having me, but also the scale of your empire here is quite something.
Well, thank you. Yeah, most people when they come, they're thinking, and then they see what's going on. It's exciting.
Very impressive.
Oh, dude, starting with the grifter recognizing the grifter, man. You've built a great gift. You've built a great grift empire here, PBD. Yes, I know. Most people think that it's small, but they show up and they see how much money this grift makes. Was that Bolsonaro? It was Bolsonaro, absolutely.
Yes, and I know you and Vinny, you guys have a very unique bond together. He loves being on the show.
I love him coming on. Vinny has an energy unlike anybody I think I've ever met in my life. And what I love is he just gives it back to everyone that gives it to him. There's no quarter given. But also he's an unpredictable guy. You can't box him in the way that people like to. They try and box him in as you're this and you're that.
Yeah.
And he'll often say...
This is important, dude. He's describing a lion. The circus master here is explaining why the lion, the subject, the hyena, is so good. If you listen to what Piers is saying here, these are the people you should surround yourself to properly grift. He's giving away the game here, folks.
So actually, I don't think that. I don't think he's an interesting character.
Yeah, made for TV.
Yes.
Period. Made for TV. Every time I see these thumbnails, and Vinny's
and PBD's there saying made for PBD. You're not going to get all the credit for this hyena, sir. I played a part. I made this Frankenstein. It's alive. It was me. It was not just you, Piers. You got to share some credit. You got to share some credit. I have this says The Rock met PBD. Now I know that The Rock is cooking. Dude, he got paid for that one. All of the celebrities get paid for the PHP conferences, is my understanding. Mr. Elu says Cuban PBD. Dude, I can't do the accent. I can't do it. PBD uses the emotional chart when Vinny gets too excited about FC.
Pictures like that, or he's so animated, so you can always pick something. But Piers, I'm trying to see what angle to take with you. So there's a couple. I want to talk to you about, your relationship with the president. I want to talk to you about some of the stuff with Israel that you've hosted. So I think you hosted the first big one with Bassem Youssef came on, that one fiery 30-something million views, and then there was a back and forth. But also with what's going on with London. So right now in U.S., Mamdani just became the mayor of New York City, financial capital of the world. Prior to that, the financial
Okay, we can skip this because we saw it previously. We're going to get to the juicy stuff. We're going to get to Tommy Robinson. They talk about Mamdani and Sadiq Khan.
Because, on the other side, Nancy Pelosi stepping down. Newsom, you hear that voice coming up. And you're an interesting place because you do business in New York. You have a property, I believe, in L.A. You're in London. You're going back and forth. So you kind of are able to, compare all those different climates. But going back to UK, London. So we see the videos. We see Tommy Robinson. I have Tommy Robinson on. I know you guys have had your set of back and forth, and I've followed it over the years of what's happened. But what do you think about what Tommy says? Not his background, not any of the criminal stuff, not any of that stuff that maybe you guys have issues with. I'm not trying to do the personal stuff. What do you think about what Tommy is showing when he's going in the streets, having 100,000 people showing up? A lot of people in London finally are coming out saying the Overton window of immigration, not even people in London, the story came out last week, they're even more aggressively.
Why are we watching this part? Because it's important. The day that Piers Morgan endorses Valentina Gomez, Tommy Robinson fully, start packing your bags, folks. Start packing your bags, because that means it's over. That means that they are actually going to start denaturalizing and deporting. Thank God that Piers has not gone on this side yet. As soon as he does, get ready. I'm getting denaturalized. You're getting denaturalized. I'm going back to Venezuela. You're going back to wherever you're from, folks. So this is very important to watch.
Pro-anti-immigration than America. They're like, we don't want any more of this. For you, somebody who is from there, what have you noticed the changes in London since Muslims started entering decades ago?
Well, I think it's the problem has been massively exaggerated. However, there is...
Thank God. Thank you, Piers. Thank you, Piers, for not embracing this remigration meme. Piers Morgan, if you can hear me, please don't get me deported. Piers Morgan, if you can hear me, please don't get me deported. I was born here. I'm an American citizen. Please, Piers Morgan, don't let them deport me. Thank God. Thank God. Dude, if he came out and said, there's too many Muslims, pack your bags, folks. They're about to crack down. It's going to be Children of Men style shit. I everything says, do you think Piers calls PBD to borrow Vinny? I think so, right? It has to be like Barnum and Bailey calling the Ringling Bros. Hey, can I borrow your elephant for the day? It has to be like that. It has to be shared custody.
Is a rising problem. That's how I would categorize it myself. Tommy Robinson resonates with people because of two things, I think. One, he was absolutely right about the grooming gang scandal in the north of England. It was a horrendous scandal involving almost exclusively British Pakistani men abusing young white English girls. That was the scandal, and it was going on for years. It was horrific. These girls were being appallingly abused by a particular section of the community, but nobody dared say what that community was, because they were trapped in woke ideology that you can't name a criminal if it doesn't suit the woke agenda. And so Tommy Robinson was one of those people that early on began calling this out, and he was right to do so, and he deserves credit for doing it. Mainstream media weren't completely oblivious. One guy on the Times actually exposed it originally and kept banging that drum. But many people in the establishment in the UK conspired to cover it up. They didn't want this. They thought it would be too much of a powder keg to say what actually happened, which is this was British Pakistani men abusing white English girls. That was it. And they should have been clear with what was going on.
He put the blame on the government. Thank God. Thank God. Thank you, Piers. You just bought Muslims another 6 months in the UK, Piers, with this.
So Tommy Robinson deserves credit for that. Let's not get into his background. I have my issues about it. I have my issues about some of the sanitization of who he is when he comes on American shows, because he tends to, I think, be very disingenuous. But park all that. Why is he also gathering momentum now with his marches, which used to be, really a bunch of thugs running around, attacking police and so on. But it's morphed into a much bigger number of people. Many of them are completely peaceful. Many of them share his concerns about immigration failures, in terms of policy failures in the country for decades now. And again, on that specific, he's right. And the reason he's right is you can go back to really, it's interesting that I think the way this has played out. Tony Blair in the early 2000s opened the floodgates on immigration, but to Eastern Europe. And so we suddenly had a massive influx of people from Eastern Europe into the UK. And this was deemed to be a good thing. And then it became a thing that was slightly out of control. And then generally immigration seemed to spiral out of control, both legal and illegal. We started getting this problem on the boats coming over from...
This is important because Piers has a long-standing feud with Tony Blair. They've kind of patched it up over the years. But if he can put the blame on Tony, he's going to put the blame on Tony. They fell out because of the Iraq War. It's a long story. I'm going to make a Piers video to explain why he is the grifter god. And it's pretty funny to see him carry over that tension. I will always blame Tony Blair. Everything says, can I use Vinny to be my jester? I mean, be on my show, PBD. I would pay to see those text messages, man. I would pay to see them.
France. It's now up to 50, 60,000 people a year are coming in illegally on these small boats. No one appears to have any idea how to stop this happening. But more damagingly, 2 years ago, we had a net migration in the UK of legal migration of nearly 1 million people. Now, to put it in context, we only have just under 70 million people in the UK. You bring in 1 million people a year legally and add them to the already creaking infrastructure. We have our much vaunted national health system, the NHS, was designed in the 50s for a population of 50 million. We now have a population of nearly 70 million. So comparative to America, we're a fifth of the size, but in comparison to where we were in the 50s, we are massively bigger population. The strain on all of our infrastructure, all our public services, has been getting worse and worse and worse in direct correlation to the size of our population. And that is what's been fueling a lot of the anger. A lot of people, add the pandemic, add the cost of living crisis, so add years of really tough times for a lot of people, particularly working class people in Britain. And they see a lot of people coming in either illegally or with the blessing of the state, with many dependents. And they see with the illegal migrants coming over on the southern border, they get put in 3-4-star hotels. They get treated way better than the way that many people are living their lives who are in the country illegally already. And it causes a lot of resentment. Then you add inevitably, when you get these kind of numbers coming in, that you're going to get migrants committing crimes. And when they do, this becomes a hugely inflammatory thing.
This is why Piers is such an effective actor, man. He just said everything that Valentina Gomez, that every Tommy Robinson grifter type, violent thugs wants to say in the most rational way possible, not blaming anyone really, just describing hell, acknowledging that people have serious problems, that people have a right to be angry, but not saying like Valentina Gomez, and that's why we have to kill all the Muslims, okay? This is a diplomat, dude. How has Piers Morgan not been drafted into diplomacy? He should be the UK's representative to the United States, or the UK's representative to fucking Somalia, man. This guy would end the war in Darfur in 24 hours. He would actually do that. They are wasting his brain. Everything that these grifters have said, man, Douglas Murray, all of those types said here in a completely rational way where when you hear it, you don't feel all dirty. And that's why, what would Piers Morgan do, man? What would Piers Morgan do? Always ask yourself, what would Piers Morgan do? You're getting bad service at a restaurant. Would Piers Morgan start screaming and yelling? No, that's what Vinny would do. That's what Vinny would do. I'm not trying to be Vinny. I don't want to be the hyena. I want to be the circus master. Let's catch up with the chance. Mystery Lou says, Piers Morgan is based for being against the Iraq War. That is true. He made his bones on it, and he still stands by it. Even if he faked those photos, I don't give a shit, man. He was on the right side of history every time. Arya says, everyone who appears on PBD has to have MAGA over their left shoulder. That's that's true. Mystery Lou says, not being unhinged. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I hate everything is because he doesn't want to leave his show. What do you mean by that? But yeah, not being unhinged gets you so far in life. Just not being crazy, being diplomatic. Yeah, man. Yeah. He doesn't want to leave his show. What do you mean I hate everything?
So again, on that.
And by the way, when I say he's on the right side of history, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, but he supported Israel. What I mean is, think of it on the meta-political level. Piers Morgan was on the side of Israel when it was convenient and then went to the side of Palestine when it was convenient. Everything he did was politically expedient for his brand. If you want to know what's going on in the world and which side you should take for public appearances, Piers Morgan is the guy. He's the guy. Because he's a postmodern wizard, bro. He doesn't believe in anything. The only thing he believes in is the grift. He believes in nothing. He is a Baudrillardian. Come on.
Aspect of it all, Robinson is correct.
So if you look at this number, this is estimated Muslim population in UK by percentage from 83 till today. I'm sure you've seen this. 500,000 in 83, 1%. And then it cracked 1 million in 97, 14 years later. And then 2 million, and then 4 million, and then 4.5, some say 5 million today, 6-7% of the population. You have flirted with the concept of wanting to run for prime minister. I heard, whether you're joking or you're being serious, if there is...
He's joking. No, Piers, don't joke about that. Don't tease us. Don't tease us. Don't tease me, Piers. Please run for prime minister. Please do. Please. If I get one wish in life, it's to make Piers the prime minister of the UK. Please. Come on. He can't joke about that. He can't hype us up like that, man. He cannot hype us up. Come on, man. Come on. Piers. Run for PM, bro.
Is a crazy personality that could pull it off. You probably have the personality to pull it off. But let's just say you do say, you know what? I'm going to get in there and I'm being hired as a, true, strategic, or I'm going to run for this. Do you think this growth, the way it's going right now, getting to 10, 20, 30%, do you think it is a good idea to keep allowing people to come in to combine the Islam way of thinking, what their ideas are, and coexist with the Western ideology?
Well, I think there are issues which are serious to be considered. For example, it's been reported there are as many as potentially 85 unofficial Sharia courts in the UK now, which are not operating under UK law. They're operating in their own law for their own communities. That clearly is not a good thing in a country like the UK. I would say, look, we have a very high Muslim population now, comparative percentage-wise to the United States. In fact, I think we're not far off in terms of total numbers to the whole of America. So we have a lot of Muslims who live in the UK. We've always been a very multicultural, very tolerant place. That's why people want to come and live there, a bit like America. I would say the vast majority, I've said this before and I say it again, the vast majority of Muslims living in the UK have assimilated perfectly well and live perfectly peaceful and lives which contribute to society. The problem is, I think, coming with the sheer volume of people coming in and the sheer volume coming in illegally as well, where, as you've had in the United States, people have actually no idea who these people really are, how radicalized they may be, what their plans may be when they get to the United Kingdom. And then you see the quite disturbing spectacle of protests, say, in London during the Israel...
How can he not be a diplomat? Dude, listen to that. That was all perfectly reasonable talk. No blame. There's a reason he won The Apprentice. There's a reason Trump saw so much in this guy. This is a slick man. Ooh, he's a slick man. He's a bad mama jamma, dude. This is Piers, silver-tongued Clinton. Silver-tongued Piers, man. He could talk you into anything. Let's catch up with a chance. Arya says, Piers hates Meghan and Harry so much. I don't know why he goes on and on about that. Do people in the USA care about that? I don't even know anything about them. Yeah, because she stood him up, as Mr. Elu says. It's pretty funny. She stood him up on a date. Not a date, like on a dinner or something. Because Piers is a married man. Ephra says, who is the remaining magas at this point? The ultra rich and powerful and assume some cultists? I don't get some people. It's a lot of cult, Ephra. That's what I see. I see a lot of cult people. Because the rich, I get it. They're in it because they're making money. The other people, it's just a cult. Completely agree with that description. Foil Hat, I think Foil Hat has seen the light. I think Foil Hat has seen the Badralardian light, Arya. And everything says, Piers Morgan loves rage baiting. Why be a diplomat when he just rage baits and hosts his own circus? Imagine Piers Morgan being the diplomat as a rage baiter in, like, I don't know, the Rwandan genocide. And he's like, you know, the Tutsis come up and they go, they killed my family. Hang on. Let's hear what the Hutu have to say. Maybe they have some points. Hang on. You have to let him speak, Kagame. You have to let him speak. Dude, just rage baiting. Putting it on Piers Morgan uncensored. Ridiculous. Why is Piers dressed like a Walter, though? A waiter. Because he's here to serve. He's here to serve. I can just imagine Piers debating for PM and then randomly bringing Vinny on. And here I have Vinny. Vinny is going to... No, that's Australian. Piers doing question time with Vinny.
Hamas war, where people are brazenly supporting Hamas in these protests. And, you know, Hamas is a prescribed terror group in the United Kingdom. That should be not happening. So there is a rising concern, which Robinson has tapped into, and some would say, his critics would say, he's fueled it for his own devices, but he's tapped into a genuine concern. And the worrying thing for the government should be that as their popularity plunges, the popularity of people like Robinson and like the Reform Party under Nigel Farage, although those two don't get on, you're seeing a rising sentiment in the UK that we're losing our identity as a country. And what should we do about that? Whilst preserving the UK's historic position of being a welcoming, tolerant country, proudly multicultural, how do you juggle that with the sheer volume of people coming in and the impact that's having on local communities? And how do you stop communities developing within communities? In other words, how do you stop the fragmentation of our society where you have, you know, little separate worlds developing?
I love it. It's just perfectly reasonable questions with no answers, which is designed to make you crazy. It's just, Piers is here doing his wizard magic. You're hypnotized. You're going, What's the answer, Piers? I don't have any answers. I'm just asking the question.
In all major cities and towns. These are genuine concerns. And for people, the old days, these used to be shut down, these conversations, by people saying, well, you're racist. We're long past that stage. People now openly talk about this in UK on political shows and so on. And you're no longer just labelled a racist if you express concern about immigration. Everybody feels that this is getting unsustainable. So the question is, what do we do about it?
So you have how many kids? You have four kids? Okay.
No answer. I love it. Asking the right questions. Hey, asking the right questions is like 90% of the solution, isn't it? He doesn't have to give you the answers. He's not prime minister. If you want the answers from Piers, you got to pay him. You got to pay him a salary. And the UK not using his brain is just so sad. It's so sad, man. Arya says, Piers looks so sensible, whereas PBD looks like a mobster. PBD's suits are so bad. They're so bad. Completely agree, Arya. This is an unusual outfit for Piers. I would have expected the whole thing. You know, like the whole getup, the whole suit. But I'm here, I'm casual. He should have come in a top hat. And I just, hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Like, Mr. Elu says, Piers doing the Socratic method. He's a college professor. Are you kidding me? College professor, hypnotist, rage baiter. The greatest.
Yeah. So 4 kids, but they're grown, right? They're grown. They're
32 down to 13.
Okay. So you do have a 13-year-old.
13-year-old, yeah.
Okay. And then what's the oldest after 13?
32.
Okay.
Well, my youngest boy is 24, then 28,
24, so 13. If you were to start all over again, okay, and you're 25 today, and you know you're capable, meaning you know you shine on camera, you know you're very comfortable being under the fire. That's your comfort zone. doesn't, you know you're going to go make money no matter where you go. Here, any other country. Would you choose to
Look
raise...
at that grift. Look at that grift. You know you're going to make money no matter where. My God.
Your 4 kids where you're at, or would you move out of the country?
I would, and I would remind people we've been through a lot more difficult times than this. I think a lot gets amplified by social media, and that can be a very good thing or a very bad thing. My grandmother was 19 at the start of World War II, and she was 25 when it ended. As she always said to me, I lost 6 of the best years of my life. She said, however, I then went from 25 to 94 and had a brilliant 70 years after that. So imagine living through World War II. Imagine the kind of conversations you and I would have been having about that, about the impending threat of Nazi domination, of Nazis taking over the UK. You know, we've faced bigger challenges than this. This is a challenge that's come, in my opinion, across the whole of Europe. The sweeping migration, much of it coming from countries that have been at war, whether it's Syria, Iraq, or wherever it may be. But you've had millions and millions and millions of people deposed from their homes or fleeing war-torn situations and sweeping across the continent of Europe and wanting a better life for their families, which I completely understand. But it has got unsustainable. And it's not just a problem for the UK, it's a problem for Germany, for France, for many of the European countries. They're all facing the same challenges.
And Piers gets to take a victory lap because he opposed the Iraq War. I mean, can you imagine Piers 20 years ago knowing, because he knew, the wizard knew, he was going in his mind, if I oppose this war, I will be the greatest Cassandra of all time. I will tell the truth. They will see me as a god because I knew. Look at that victory lap, man. Look at that victory lap. Not blaming the migrants, blaming the wars. It's ridiculous. 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 Mr. Elu says he should have come in a top hat and a monocle. Oh my God. Just a carnival barker just showing up as a carny. It would be the best. I want to see him do that. But no, he's going to be PM one day. Piers, I hate everything, says the UK doesn't deserve Piers. If they're not going to make him prime minister, they really don't. Completely agree. Completely agree. What is the point of having the smartest guy on the planet if you're not going to use him properly? Some people might say that scientists are smart. No. It's this man right here. It's this man. Schofield says suited PBD is serious business. Very serious business with suited PBD. Why can't he get good suits? He has the money for it. I don't know why he doesn't do it. Do you think Piers' parents were just rage baiting Nazis at the time? Well, go on then. Go on. Go on, do the blitz. Do the blitz. I don't care. Go on. Mr. Elu says, I've liked Piers since America's Got Talent. Dude, I've only become a Piers appreciator since Uncensored launched. Before that, I was like, oh, that's just Piers being annoying. Except when he was on Bill Maher. That was so funny with Jim Jeffries. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, I'm glad that you were early. You bought Piers coin early, my friend.
Nobody at the moment, it seems to me, has a clear idea of what we do about this. Other than I look at somewhere like the United States, I look at the way Donald Trump just slammed the brakes on the southern border almost instantaneously and reduced the number of people coming in from 2.5 million a year to literally a couple of thousand a month, right? And you look at that and you think, well, okay, you can control borders. You just have to have the determination to do it. I also think Trump has universal support in America when he says that anyone who's here illegally in the United States who then commits a crime outside of their immigration status should be deported. Where the flashpoint comes, and where it's an interesting thing as to whether other countries like the UK follow the Trump philosophy on this, is where you start deporting people who have been here for a number of years illegally, but who have been maybe working, paying taxes, contributing to society.
A sensible centrist. A sensible centrist. Look, Donald Trump, he's done some good things. But do we need all this ICE stuff? I mean, do we need it? Who has the balls to be a sensible centrist besides us Baudrillardians in this time? Who has the balls to speak plainly like this and preach centrism? And it actually sounds kind of good. It sounds kind of good.
bringing up kids and so on. What do you do with those people? I understand that they want to create an atmosphere of you have to come in illegally, and if you don't, then you can't stay here. I understand that, but you don't want America to lose its inherent sense of compassion and empathy either. And I think some of the images for me of ICE running into Home Depot and grabbing people who are undocumented and wanting to throw them out, living in LA as I do a lot of the time, the fear that's engendered amongst the community in LA is it's not a good thing. So I think there's a balance to be struck here, albeit you cannot look at Trump's overall immigration policy and not think it's been extremely effective so far. And you've got to look at the hypocrisy of the left when they go after Trump. It's like my favorite question for my lefty friends, my liberal woke friends. And I used to identify happily as liberal. I just find nothing in common with these people. But I say to them, how many people did Barack Obama deport in 8 years as president? They never know, for one. They can tell exactly how many Trump has, but they never know how many Obama did. And then I tell them it's 3 million people. Just Google it. You can Google it. So A, they don't want to know. B, when they find out, they're completely shocked. C, I said he was known as deporter in chief in Mexico. Right? That was his nickname.
That's right.
Right? This guy deported more people pro rata per year than any president in the history of the United States. And yet the same rules do not apply to Obama than do to people like Trump. So, I think there's a lot to learn from the way Trump's gone about it, albeit with some caveats.
Yeah. So you
Dude, it's so funny. It's so refreshing to see centrism, like pure centrism, said with such a sane and persuasive voice where you're almost like, you know what, Piers is right. Maybe we should vote for Elizabeth Warren or something. Talking shit on Obama, on Trump. Ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Let's catch up with the chats. Arya says, I remember Piers being camped outside of his office after being sacked, something like that. My producer met Piers after he had been sacked, man. He actually is the reason. He's the one who red-pilled me on Piers because he's the reason that Piers is where he is. He's the first person to suggest to Piers that he knows to go on TV because he was a huge admirer for his Iraq war work. He was a young guy, like in his 20s. He was like, Piers, you should do TV. And Piers was like, oh, really? This was like in a small shop in London. And that, like, my producer did that. So we're in good hands at this show. Mr. Elu says, wasn't there some spying? Oh, you can't bring that up to Piers. Piers will sue you if you bring that up. I know everything says if Piers does run for anything political, Don Lemon should be the first person to interview. A level 1 slime versus a level 100 wizard. Arya says he used to have very fat people on the morning talk show and they would say, I feel beautiful. And he would say stuff like, do you have a mirror? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Who else would do that? That's so funny. That's so funny. It's so low IQ, but high IQ at the same time. It's so funny. It's so funny. When he ate the steak in front of the vegan, Schofield says he did it cheaper, referring to Obama. Yeah, Obama, even those numbers, the deportations were turnaways at the border. They weren't really deportations, but yeah. Yeah. It says Vinny pulled up the facts. He did do that. He did do that. They had the Chat GPT facts ready. All right. Let's continue.
You said something about your grandma being 19 to 25 during the war. I lost 6 of my best years, but I lived to 94, 70 years, some of the greatest years of my life, right? Okay. When you had to overcome that war, you had this one guy named Winston Churchill, right? So just curious. You're saying, Muslims that come in and they assimilate, great, no problem. I don't have any problem. We have Muslims in our company that we work with, and they've assimilated. They love America, right? If you ask the Muslim Council of Britain, it'll say that 75% of Muslims in Britain have assimilated and see themselves as Brits. Yeah. I'm a Brit. I consider myself proud Brit as well, but 25% don't, depending on the numbers you look at. How would Winston Churchill today, would Winston Churchill be tolerant with the borders? Would he be like, yeah, it's okay, let him come in?
No.
Would he handle the threat?
Winston Churchill, famous racist. Dude, PBD, who writes the questions? Winston Churchill famously saw black people as inferior and Bengalis as disposable. How would he deal with the border? Is this not Gorbachev and Reagan and Reykjavik? Who thinks of that question? That's an insane question to ask.
And think about how his wiring was. This is your world.
Yeah.
What do you think he would have done today?
No, I think he'd have been tough. I think he'd have been very...
In what way?
Well, I think he'd have been very protective of our borders in a way that was very protective against the threat of Nazism to our way of life. I think that he would have understood inherently, I think, that actually having open borders, as Ronald Reagan said, right? The best line ever was the simplest one. If you have an open border, you don't have a country. Of course you don't. The very definition of a country is something that has a border. So the moment you allow your border to be completely open, you're just going to be a hostage to your own misfortune. And that's what we're seeing happening. You know, again, it's a big problem for the continent of Europe. It's not just a problem for the UK. The difference we have is twofold. One, we're an island, the United Kingdom, and secondly, we're detached from the European Union, not just geographically, but financially and every other way now through leaving the EU, through Brexit. So, you know, we haven't got a lot of friends in France, for example. They don't really that bothered about helping us with the small boats crisis, because why should they help us at all, given the pain we inflicted on them by leaving the EU? So there's a lot of that going on. But they've all got their own problems. I was in Paris recently, and, you know, you could say, I think it would be fair to say, Paris is a very different place when you walk around to what it was like 30 years ago. You know, my wife is half Brisbane, was born and raised there. And so you see it changing. Now, I've got no problem. You know, America's the classic example of a country where every city you go to, you'll meet myriad people from myriad different countries, myriad different backgrounds, and so on. You know, and the United States is a great example of how this can work. But you have to have control of your borders, and you have to have a sensible, tough immigration policy. The irony for me is, when you try and become like I have, I'm a exceptional alien is my status on my visa status for the United States. I always laugh. They literally call you aliens. And my visa is pegged to my work, and I'm here as an... So, you know, I'm a little bit...
Exceptional alien. Exceptional alien. His mind is not made for us. I think that the government, when they were granting him his visa, they alien is the only word. But they might have been saying he has to be from outer space. There's no way that this exceptional alien is human. Piers was there when they built the pyramids. He was the engineer, okay? When they were building Tenochtitlan, the Mayans, he was there. He was helping them build it. Piers is not of time. He's not of this world. I'm glad Piers Morgan, exceptional alien, goes hard, man. That should be his merch. Exceptional alien. Oh my God. Let's catch up on the chats. Great. Everything says, yeah, Barry gets away with a lot of stuff. Dude, Barry gets away with everything. Barry has no legacy. I'm a huge Obama hater, man. I really did not like Obama. The economy got better towards the end, but I don't think Obama was a good president. I don't know how Obama gets away with Fast and Furious in particular. I guess because people don't care about Mexicans, but, you know, he's a terrible president. Arya says Obama didn't do the amnesty he promised either, disenfranchised so many. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff he did, whether you're on the right or left, that you're like, this guy sucks. This guy was terrible. Yes, Arya, Britain did give Palestine to the Zionists with some pressure from them. Yes, absolutely. Everything says Winston would be too drunk to man the border. Yeah, probably. Schofield says, what would pro-eugenics Churchill think? Yeah, what would racist Winston Churchill's solution, racist drunk Winston Churchill's solution be to the border crisis? I wonder what he was thinking. Didn't Churchill want to throw hands with Stalin since I had everything? He did. And FDR was like, calm down. This is a great mind we're dealing with. You're just some drunk British guy, dude. Let him cook. Let him build the space station. Let him build Sputnik, all right? I know this is Piers. I am King Arthur, King of the Britons. Oh my God. All right, let's continue.
Perturbed that I have to be called an alien, but the fact they call me an exceptional alien, I'll take it.
Respect.
Yeah, but the amount of paperwork and money you have to spend on getting through your visa immigration status each time I have to renew it, is indicative of a country that does apply these rules. And the reason that people get so angry about those who circumnavigate the rules is a lot of them have had to do the same. And if you go through the proper process to go into a country legally or to set up your home there with your family, whatever it may be, obviously you're going to really resent people who wash up on a small boat, who might be criminals. You've no idea, because the UK government has no idea, by the way, who's on these boats, for example. And we found in one purge that 30% 1 year all came from Albania, which is not a war-torn country. It's a country in Eastern Europe, but there's a lot of gangs, and these were gang members coming into the UK, predominantly the major cities, to deal in things like drugs. So they did a deal with the Albanians, and it stopped that stone dead. But now we have people coming in from other countries. So there's
what would Churchill have done? What do you think he would have done?
I think he... What would he...
What would Churchill have done? Dude, he's really sticking with it. He's really sticking.
Have done.
Seriously, what do you think he would have done? Just think his profile.
I certainly think right now he would have put the clamps down on more people coming
would
in.
He have
except
sent,
in
would
exceptional circumstances.
Would he have sent anybody back from the 7% that came here? How would he have treated some of the criminals? How would he have treated some of the knife, some of the stuff that's...
We're going to skip ahead for time, man. We got to get to the Nick Fuentes part. We got to get to here, over here. We got to get over here. Let's watch this here. This is great stuff.
You may remember when he bought Twitter, he said he was going to keep Jones off the platform because he didn't like...
Piers hates Alex Jones for a variety of reasons. I think it's mostly because of bad blood from that interview they did years ago.
Where he danced on the graves of children. I agree with him. And I was disappointed when he let him come back on because I think that his whole business model was telling deliberate lies about grieving families.
You're disappointed he let him back on.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. By the way, You've had Ben on, you've had Candace on, have you had Tucker on? You've done stuff with Tucker as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about what's going on right now, especially this week? Ben Shapiro comes out, makes the video about the fact that Tucker had Nick Fuentes on and makes a 41-minute video calling him out and how dare you have somebody that's celebrating Stalin and Hitler and all this other stuff. Where's your position with everything that's going on within the Republican influencer party?
Really interesting. I like a lot of them. I get on very well with Tucker, with Candace, with Ben. Always have done. I've never met or interviewed...
A friend of everybody. Tucker Carlson, Ben, Candace Owens. This is how you should live your life, dude. This is... What would Piers Morgan do? Would Piers Morgan become friends with Candace Owens? Yes, then I will become friends with Candace Owens. And Ben Shapiro. I mean, this man has no enemies. It's all friends. What would Piers Morgan do, man? What would he do?
Fuentes. My issue was Tucker gave me... We met in Riyadh in the desert by chance. We were both speaking at the same event earlier this year. And we did a 90-minute interview on each other's shows. Me interviewing him, then him going after me. When he went after me, if you watch it back, it was very entertaining, very enjoyable. It was a good old, tussle. But a bit like when he went after Ted Cruz and stuff, he held nothing back going after me and Ted Cruz. But with Fuentes, I just felt he was oddly, not doing that. And so the question then becomes for me, well, why wouldn't you go after someone like Fuentes? The stuff he said on the record is so appalling in many cases. There's so much stuff that as an interviewer, you have to go after him about. So my criticism was not that he platformed him. Tucker is right. He can platform anybody he likes. It's one of the biggest platforms in the world. My only criticism was, why didn't you give him as hard a time as he gave me?
I think that's fair. I think that's fair I'm doing that.
And what's interesting is if you've watched the Tucker interview with Piers Morgan, those Russian bucks were hitting hard for Tucker, man, because he was trying to get Piers to say Zelensky's a dictator. I don't care how you feel about the conflict, man. But I'm saying, it seemed a little bit too interested in getting Piers to hate on Zelensky. It was really odd to watch. So I do agree with his criticism here, because if you watch the Fuentes on Tucker, it's very true. He did not give him any pushback. Nick was able to say whatever he wanted. And it's an interesting thing to point out. Why did he not push back? Which goes to my wider point, and I think I'm going to make a video about it. We might talk about it tomorrow. That I think that Nick Fuentes and his group are being absorbed into the GOP. And that idea is not original. It comes from Richard Spencer, one of the most rational people. Yeah, the former white nationalist, I don't know if he still is like the most rational guy on politics now. It makes zero sense. I don't understand it. but he's the one who's making the most sense these days. I don't get it. I'm sure we wouldn't get along. How is he the only guy who can see through Trump's bullshit clearly on the right? It's so strange to see.
But so you would house Nick Fuentes?
Well, I think in light of all the controversy about him, it'd be quite interesting to get him on my show and actually do an uncensored number on him, where I go after him about a lot of the stuff he said on the record. I think now it's...
You would lose your Jewish donors so if you do that. So I just want to prepare you for it.
I don't care about things like that.
You're going to lose that kind of stuff.
I never care about any financial impact to anything I do. I think you've got to be intellectually honest in this game. I think you are when I watch you.
And I appreciate that.
You got to be intellectually honest like PBD in this game. All right. What's interesting there is even though it's a brief moment, we see Piers planning the circus. He's going, I'm going to have him on the show and I'm going to give him the uncensored treatment. That's what the circus is called, the uncensored treatment. We're going to bring Vinny on to yell at him. I'm going to be castigating him. Imagine that. Just, it's like PBD has Ringling on and Ringling's like, yeah, I think that I might buy a new mongoose and I think I'm going to give it some boxing gloves and make it fight a praying mantis. I think the audience would love that.
When I think about like our jobs, what we do, versus think about the nonprofit job.
Yeah.
The nonprofit job, guys are giving you a few $1 million. They're not going to get anything in return because they support the cause. So imagine if all of a sudden you're like, well, like Heritage, we are, no matter what they tell us, we're going to protect and be for Tucker forever. And then the next day, listen, we were a little bit inappropriate with our comments and we have changed our position because the donors threatened to walk out. So that charity, the nonprofit sector is a slippery slope because you worry about losing that $4 million fund, the $2 million fund, the $3 million guy that's going to take the money away.
I had this kind of debate about the platforming with people like Andrew Tate and stuff and Candace Owens when I platformed. And I kind of evolved my view a little bit to the degree that I think that these people have huge followings. You can either pretend they don't or you can accept they do.
Yeah.
And they either have an unchallenged platform of their own to just say whatever they want to say. Take with Candice, for example, I've had a couple of big bust-ups with her about this ridiculous assertion that Brigitte Macron is a man, right? I think it's 100% bullshit. I think she knows it is, but she's now being sued by Brigitte Macron, who will probably prove very easily she's a woman in court, and Candice will lose, but I'm sure spin it into some kind of Pyrrhic victory, and that's her business. But if I have her on, I challenge her about it. We have a proper old ding-dong about it. And actually, I do think that probably society and democracy is better served by having people who have big followings, give them a platform, but challenge them. That should be the challenge for everybody. I do that with anyone, but I just think having people who've got very contentious views on...
This is Caligula justifying bread and circus in color. We need to have people yelling each other on Piers Morgan Uncensored because it's good for democracy, okay? It's good for Rome. It's good for America to make everyone schizophrenic. It is good to do that to people. It is actually desirable. How can you criticize Uncensored for holding the lion's feet to the fire? They're just doing... Piers Morgan Uncensored is actually vital for democracy. If we did not have Piers Morgan Uncensored, it might actually be the end of the American Republic. Because only Piers is holding this up. He is literally Sisyphus rolling up this boulder. He is Atlas carrying that globe on his back with his circus. If not for this circus, we would not have an identity. We would not know who we are. Interesting to see him justify all of it. I love it. I love it. No regrets, no regrets. Just straight truth, man. You need a circus. You need a circus.
Where you don't challenge them. That's an abrogation of your duty as a platformer. Because otherwise, what are you really doing? You're just giving them more oxygen for views. And if you don't agree with them... I thought it was very interesting when Tucker went after Ted Cruz and said, well, what's the population of Iran? He didn't know. It was a viral moment. And we all thought that was a brilliant moment. But you do think, well, why was there no viral moment like that out of your 2-hour interview with Fuentes? You know, I can guarantee there would be if I was with Fuentes. He'd probably give me some hammer too. Fine, fair enough. I can take it. But I do think he needs to be challenged. Fuentes has a massive following, increasingly influential amongst young men in particular, as does Andrew Tate. I've interviewed Tate a few times, and I think I hold his feet to the fire, and he gives it back. And actually, young people who watch it, who maybe have a view of him that is unchallengeable from his own arena, see him being challenged, can maybe change their views.
Who did you interview in UK when you walked on the streets, you went to restaurants, people said, I cannot believe you put him on platform? Who was the number one person that you got criticism in the streets?
Probably Andrew Tate.
Above everybody.
I think so, yeah. He's the most divisive figure that I interview on a more regular basis, yeah. And it's a tricky one. You know, I'd sort of buy into Tucker's thing that you should, if you had got a platform, you should be able to interview who the hell you like. I mean, when he did Putin, for example, he got a lot of stick for doing it, but would any journalist...
That's our time, folks. Let's catch up with the chat with these last couple minutes, man. What an epic summit, man. I can't wait to see Nick Fuentes on Piers Morgan. Because you know that Fuentes, he's a self-promoter, and he's got to be. Everyone's got to eat. He's going to take up that offer. And it's going to be great. It's going to be a great circus. Let's catch up with the chats, man. This is. And by the way, we have to thank PBD. PBD is the guy who normalized Nick Fuentes. He's the reason that he's doing this media tour, this circus that has provided so many good shows, so much spectacle for us, whether you love or hate the guy. It's such a good show. It's a good show. It's a good season of America, as Ephra would say. It's a good season. Because PBD just told Nick Fuentes, hey, stop saying the N-word and I'll interview him. And he kind of stopped saying the N-word and he interviewed him. A man of his word. A grifter's word is bond, yo. A grifter's word is bond. Everything says a severely handicapped FDR trying to break up drunk British and an angry communist man with daddy problems. To be a fly in the wall at Yalta. To be a fly at the wall. Arya says, and when Assange was released, there was a huge deal. I'm not sure how that was orchestrated, but it was under Biden's DOJ. I have a buddy who thinks Assange is dead. That's a clone. And I'm not inclined to believe him fully, but I don't discount that entirely. Ephra says, and Jones hates 5G. I don't know exactly why, and the frogs are naturally gay. I think Alex Jones is in it for the chaos. He's a chaos monkey. He loves chaos. He loves chaos. Arya says, everyone is needed in the fight against Palantir and Peter Thiel. MAGA have no idea what they unleashed. Arya, I'm full on board with this stuff. Just submit. It's way easier. I'm downloading my digital ID on my iPhone after this. A few years ago, I would have fought it, and now I'm like, Palantir, I'm here. I consent to all surveillance. Please surveil me extra hard. Thank you. Because we can't fight it. Game was rigged from the start, Arya. Rigged from the start. Trump doesn't care about anything except grifting, but Palantir and the surveillance state and Elon Musk have gotten so much power through him. But it was going to happen anyway, Arya. Rigged from the start. Rigged from the start. We have de Blasio debates as usual. Ephra says Thiel AI company is mostly BS. The technology is based on a graph database, but the technology is flawed because of the combinational explosion. The whole stock market is mostly fake and gay. I'm going to look into that, Ephra. I believe you. Because that's Snowden's take on a lot of the surveillance stuff, that it's just too much data. I don't know if he's right anymore, but I don't know. Mr. Elu says Richard Spencer has been right since endorsing Biden in 2020. Who knew? When that guy knocked him upside the head, that Antifa, he released a new Richard Spencer. Crazy. Oh my God. All right, guys. Assange has made a statement since he's been released, says Mr. Elu. Yeah, that's why I'm suspicious of who they actually released. And yes, Ephra, Tate did call Piers fat. All right, everyone. That's our show. A small show tonight. We got a little intimate. Once again, what would Piers Morgan do? What would a postmodernist do? What would Jesus do? Parodies are here. Okay, only 100 in red. Okay, you have your little bracelet. Wear it around the town. Piss off an evangelical. $10, 15 for 2. Very reasonable. Thank you, Schofield, for the big super chat. $10. Thank you, Schofield. I appreciate you, man. But look, I mean, you can't untake it. But if you want something to support the show, because I understand super chats are a little like, like what do you get out of it? But this is like a physical object. If you just PayPal the $10 with your mailing address, send it to me, 15 for 2, I'll send them over. Because I could go through like a little shop and all that stuff, but then it takes like a bunch of commission, and basically none of the money gets back to the show. Because I'm trying to upgrade some studio stuff here. So, I appreciate the super chat, Schofield, but guys, before you send a super chat, just consider this. That way you have something physical too, and it helps spread the word of the show. I do appreciate it though, good sir. I really appreciate it. Let me write you a personal one here. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. So yeah, guys, the PayPal's there, King Leo Miami, and then you could be rocking one of the only limited edition supreme colored parody 100 red What Would Piers Morgan, What Would a Postmodernist Do shirts. Bracelets. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye. 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 Change the world. My final message.